So I appreciate your time, guys, for being on the show today. This is SummerSlam weekend. This is dope. I do want to tackle just one more topic before we go because I kind of wanted to get that comment, that topic on the camera here. We don't need to beat a dead horse,
pun intended.
But there's been a lot of talk, a lot of scuttlebutt about a particular passing that has happened recently. A young
Ozzy Osbourne,
which should have been the main highlight of the week, but that didn't work for him, brother. He had to go and steal the thunder.
Can't even job.
They can't even do the job in death. You know, I heard this joke the other day. I forgot who sent it to me. They said that that Hogan requested to be cremated because he refuses to be buried even in death. And I was like, Jesus Christ,
that's foul and hilarious,
him, brother. But of course, we're talking about the immortal Hulk Hogan. There's been a lot of talk about his passing, both positive and negative. There are people who feel very strongly about his passing in one direction or the other, and I would like to get my guest opinion on the subject matter. But as the host of the show, I will take the first knife wound to the chest and I will take it my responsibility to at least say this. I just want to say this about the whole thing. And we may talk a little bit more about it on the regular show because I do have more on my mind, but we've been here for 3 hours. I'm not going to kill time. But I will say this because I wanted to say this on camera so people can literally not just hear me, but see with your own eyes my body language and my facial expression and get an idea of what I'm trying to tell you, okay? The main point that I want to make before you guys share your point is feel how you feel. That's literally what it comes down to, okay? If your childhood was so important to you and such a large part of who you are as a person and how you develop as an adult, your character, and that's the huge part. Well, that's all I keep hearing from people who are praising the man. It's their bread and butter argument. I grew up with this guy. He was a huge part of my childhood. He molded me as a person. He was my hero. All that stuff. If that's your reasoning for how you feel about this, all for it. Take it. I'm not gonna shit on you for it. You feel how you feel. All I ask is that if you're being in the same room with somebody who feels the opposite way, I don't feel you have the right to switch that. I don't have to, or any person does not have to get on board with how you feel about something based on the fact that you simply feel it. There is another person in the room with their own thoughts, their own opinions, and their own feelings that were validated. They're not hearsay. We all heard the audio. We've all seen the materials. So I feel like there's two worlds. Either you loved the man so much because of how much of a part of your life he was that you can acknowledge that there was some faults in the man, but his faults don't outweigh the good in your mind. Fine. If you've rationalized that, that's fine. All I'm saying is that you can't be angry at the individual who sees it the other way, who might have, like, for instance, myself. I grew up respecting that man a whole bunch. He was a huge part of my entire life. I've said this story on the show before. The first wrestling show I ever saw in my entire life, WrestleMania 4. I saw it in my grandfather's house. Dave, you remember Clark and Phyllis up in the Bronx. I saw it in their apartment. Sat down with my grandpa. He was drinking a few beers, talking shit about the $1 Million Man. That was his boy. He loved when he kicked the basketball away from the kids and was mean about his money and all the whole thing. Now, that was a Macho Man pay-per-view, but Hogan was on that card. There was Hogan and Andre, and all I had ever heard from my friends was Hogan and Andre, Hogan and Andre. This was my first chance seeing Hulk Hogan, and I was impressed. And as the years went on, I got to see how much more important he actually was. Because if that was your first pay-per-view, you would think to yourself, wow, Macho Man really is the king of the whole company. Because that's the positioning at the time. As you grow and the years go on, you realize, oh, Hogan's the man. That's the guy who runs the show. He's the big star. So you associate, when you say, when we were kids in the 80s, when you say wrestling, people shot to Hulk Hogan. That was the guy everybody knew. So he was a part of people's lives, even if you weren't a professional wrestling fan. He was in the cartoons. He was on breakfast cereals. He was on shirts. He was on lunchboxes. He was on shoes. Well, let me tell you something, brother. That was everybody's fucking thing in the 80s. When Mr. T got involved, the whole shebang. So it's not hate. I actually get it. Actually, if I'm being honest, I'm kind of envious. I'm kind of jealous in a way. Because for me personally, the stuff that I found out about him after the fact, especially getting into the business and learning from people who used to work with him all the time back in the day, when you start learning more facts about individuals, it does tend to kind of bring it down a little bit. And I'm not the kind of person to I can't block it out. I can't. Yes, I grew up with all that stuff, same as you. But for me, that stuff kind of outweighs the other. And I can understand if it doesn't for you, but it does for me. And it does, I think, for a lot of people. I think we've learned that on the internet now. It's pretty much split down the middle. But I just wanted to put it out there as far as a statement from the show itself that I'm okay with you feeling any kind of way. I have friends, personal friends of mine, who grew up loving the man and did many tributes throughout the week with the shirts and the bandanas, and they were all Hulk Hogan out. Man, we'll miss you. Rest in peace. Cool. Just don't bring it here where we're not as excited. Okay. There's members of the WWE roster right now that were on Raw like this. No disrespect to the man, but I got better shit to do. So it really is all about personality. It's all about you as a person and what you value. It's all based on how you feel about your situation. You just can't expect the other person to vibe in on that. Okay? If you love him or you hate him, it's either or. I'm saying this for the other person too. If you hate him through and through, you don't give a shit about anything he did, I'm saying the same thing to you. You can't sit here and tell this other person how they should and shouldn't feel. I don't think anybody should be telling anybody. As far as the disrespect, well, yeah, why do you have to say it the day of his death? Why you chose today to be disrespectful? Bitch, I was disrespecting him before he died. I just continued the flow.
It's the hot topic right now.
If I stop disrespecting him, then I'm the hypocrite. Because I didn't like it when he was here. I'm sorry. Did we all forget what happened in LA on his last?
Yeah, I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I see that. It was good.
Did you? That was for everybody's great memories of Hulk Hogan. The last one we'll ever have is him being booed out of Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. So there are quite a few people who are on the other side of that. Linda, his ex-wife, put out a statement about the loss of Hulk Hogan, and to be honest, she's kind of in the middle. You know, that's the father of her kids, her first main love, so there's always something there. But she never forgave him for the cheating and the infidelity. Or are we going to forget about that too? So you're picking and choosing, which is fine. I pick and choose to stay out of it because Hulk Hogan's not the hill that I'm trying to die on, but I understand both sides of it. So, Steve, I know that you've grown up in this, same as all of us here, and you have your memories. What are your thoughts on the situation as a whole, and for you personally, for Hulk Hogan?
First, you're absolutely right. You should feel how you feel and not tell anybody otherwise just because you feel the way that you feel. Everybody else, this is a man, this is a character who is so important to the zeitgeist of this thing that we love that it's hard to dismiss the contributions. My first experience as a kid where I really understood the power of it was the earthquake thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Earthquake broke his ribs. I was a mess. I was a kid. I was a warrior guy, and I pick bad ones, but I was a warrior kid. But that happening was significant. I think this is disappointing. I'm disappointed more than anything.
Yeah.
Because the fall is so great of this man because of how he tried to make us live. As his character tried to make us live. He was the example for us before you were hip to all the things backstage. as a kid, he was the example of what we wanted to be. He was as close to a superhero as you could possibly get. We didn't know what he was doing backstage. And had we known as kids, we probably wouldn't fucking cared.
Yeah.
I try my best, and I struggle with this, to separate the man Terry Bollea from Hulk Hogan. Terry Bollea, the man, is a piece of shit, in my opinion,
Right.
who I am not upset that passed outside of my empathy as a human. I'm sorry that his family lost this, that, and the other, but I don't care. That guy's gone. The character Hulk Hogan, as a symbol for what I thought he was, is separate from the man for me. That's like, I love Forrest Gump. If Tom Cruise went out and started saying this, that, and the other, it doesn't change my feeling on Forrest Gump. It changed my opinion.
Wrong Tom.
It shouldn't.
But it can. But it can.
That was the wrong Tom.
It's the wrong Tom.
Tom Hanks? What did I say? Tom
You
Cruise?
said Tom Cruise.
Oh, geez.
I was like, I really hope you're not judging Tom Hanks on what the fuck Tom Cruise is doing, because that's crazy work.
I'm going to leave middle tooth of the face alone.
Yeah, separate worlds, man. Cruise and Hanks have lived different lives.
Oh, man.
So I struggle with it.
Yep.
And I think that anybody who feels that the whole thing is a wash, that's absolutely valid. I'm still struggling with it because I'm more disappointed than anything. Terry Bollea, the man, to the right. Go right out the window. The character is what I struggle with, because how much of that seeps into it the more I know. I try to remember what that feeling was like as a kid, because for a lot of us, he gave us superpowers in a time where you didn't necessarily feel like a super hero.
Right.
But you can't dismiss the fact that the guy was a garbage human being. That's where I am with it.
Yeah.
Dave, any thoughts on the Hulk
I
Hogan
agree.
situation?
I don't think you can call it a wash. So if anyone thinks it's a wash just because of death, like, I don't know. I'm a person that thinks of death very differently than most people, but I really think you should be able to separate the character from the person. And I wish everyone could do that. I know it's kind of hard to say when you're extremely emotional in some of the things that he said and how it affected you. That's a whole nother conversation within itself, because I don't think you should ever let a random man you don't know say something affect your life that much. But I mean, if you're angry with that person, that's fine. But I wish all people who had, because I don't fault the people who don't watch wrestling and just know Hulk Hogan as an asshole, because that's what they're doing, right? It's like, I'm not connected to the character, but I know the name of the person. I don't know his real name. I know his name is Hulk Hogan. So we're mashing those two things together. And that's how he represents himself. So it's not just on the person, it's on him as well. It's his character, right? But if you are someone that grew up with it, anyone that grew up with it, I strongly advise, and if you can't, then that's whatever. It's your own prerogative. Separate the two, man. Throw the person you don't like away, and just keep that, like you said, that childhood image, especially like if you're someone who would have that idea, you're an older person already. And if you're an older person, I mean, that's just a symbol of being a kid. And I'm only fucking 37, and I'm already starting to feel like, damn, when I see something, no, not even just that, but like, for instance, I'll hear, what did I hear the other day? It was like a video on Facebook of these kids, older people like laying in bed, and the Boomerang song from Cartoon Network came on. And it gave me this fucking feeling like I was a kid again, just for a second, like being that kid sleeping in bed, and that Boomerang theme song wakes me up in the middle of the night, and then Samurai Jack comes on. Like, that was the clip. And to that point, I mean, like, if you get that feeling from Hulk Hogan, then let that be what the feeling is. Throw the other stuff in the trash and enjoy this moment before it becomes a blip of a memory of your childhood going away, and not so much the individual who was a piece of shit. So if you can do the two, if you can separate it, awesome. But like everyone else said on here, if you can't, and no, fuck what you say, fuck that guy, then it's just gonna have to be that. Then it is what it is. Everyone is entitled to their own beliefs. Just don't shove it down anyone else's throat. If someone else is saying, yeah, I know Hulk Hogan was an asshole, but I mean, he was my childhood, that guy shouldn't be killed for it. So
allow me to play devil's advocate for 1 second, because I'm in a situation where I was actually there and present for something that kind of helps in my argument about the separation of the two, because both of you have just said that, and not to be argumentative, but it irks me because, and I'll explain why. If the two worlds were separate, if it was just Hulk Hogan on camera, and then off camera, it was just Terry Bollea, that'd be an easy sell for me, because they are so diametrically opposed from each other that Terry was this individual this way and Hulk Hogan was this way. Unfortunately, that man lived his gimmick.
Yep, I said that. I pointed that out.
Yeah,
for so long, and it's what made him his money outside of the WWE. And even if you didn't want to do that, I'll take you to WrestleMania 37. Again, me in Tampa, Florida. This is the post-COVID WrestleMania. We're finally allowed to be back in the building. They made Hulk Hogan a host of that WrestleMania, but they didn't make him a host by himself. He had a partner. He had Titus O'Neil as his partner
remembered this. Yeah.
for the host of WrestleMania. And I was there for night one, and I was not there for night two. We had plans, but they did 2 straight back-to-back WrestleManias where the WWE strategically placed Hulk Hogan next to that black guy for 2 straight nights. They didn't use Titus O'Neil for WrestleMania before that. They haven't used Titus O'Neil since that. So if you want to try to explain to me that I should separate the two worlds while Hulk Hogan and the WWE repeatedly tried to combine them, it's a hard sell. They literally had a black guy stand next to Hulk Hogan for 2. I mean, they never separated. They were out on the stage multiple. That was more times than we ever saw a host at WrestleMania ever. And they did backstage stuff together with Bayley and stuff like that together. They were attached to the hip for 2 straight nights. That's not WWE trying to remedy the racist situation? Of course it is.
Absolutely.
Of course it is. So if you're going to actively go out of your way to try to convince me that he's not a bad guy, I think I'm well within my right to just say, across the board, not a fan. Yeah. And again, that's not to be argumentative. You guys can feel however you want to feel. I'm just trying to explain from the other side, from the people who, like me, do have a hard time. Not to put him in the same category, but how many internet conversations have we had about the Benoit situation? Right? Benoit, up until that night, Benoit was one of the most beloved and respected wrestlers on planet Earth. Okay? That motorcycle is coming back in.
He's like, I'm out. They're talking Hogan. Oh, they said Benoit.
He drove in and then he heard Benoit and he drove right back out. No, but up until that night with Nancy and Daniel, he was one of the most well-respected wrestlers on planet Earth. Right? If I go to the internet right now and I type in, you know what? I know what he did, but as a wrestler, he's a Hall of Famer. He should go in the Hall of Fame. I will get a list of people telling me that I'm a dumbass, that I'm an idiot, and that regardless of what he did as a wrestler, in real life, he's a piece of shit. So I'm now adapting, regardless of what he did as a wrestler, he's a piece of shit. No? Does that not still work?
I do think it's only different for some folks because Chris Benoit was not Hulk Hogan.
Fair. There's levels to
and
this.
Murdering your family is different than cheating on your family.
At the beginning of the analogy, I'm not putting him on that level. I'm simply stating there are people out there that take and choose. It all just what you just said right now. Yes, Chris Benoit was well respected and loved. He ain't Hogan. That's what I'm saying.
It's far more complicated.
There
Yeah.
seems to be a line somewhere where if you're below that line, it doesn't matter what you did as a wrestler. You were a piece of shit. If you're above that line, you're a piece of shit. But damn, WrestleMania 6 was hot, bro. Like you made that shit crazy. That's nuts, though.
To be fair, though, from what I've seen, I think there are more people on the he's a piece of shit side than he was a hero. Actually, I do think there's more people who have hate than they are supporting. From what I've seen, anyway.
There's also more people who have an opinion on it. Period.
Yeah.
Which.
Okay. If you're talking about volume of people,
yes. No, you're hitting the right on the head because I'm starting to see opinions about this from people who don't know anything about this.
Nothing.
That's what I said. Like there are people jumping in this, making memes that don't watch wrestling. They just know the dickhead.
Don't know.
Well, they're farming controversy.
Yes, that's another thing too. Yep.
Because a lot of the outsiders saw the Civil War and jumped on the vulnerability, which is what always happens. But yeah. Before we end it completely, though, first of all, thank you guys for sharing your opinions on that and having the courage to do that, because now we have a laundry list of people who you're making a face, but when he died, there was X amount of people who said, wow, what a bunch of dickheads talking all this negativity about Hulk Hogan. And then like 2 or 3 days later, when people started sending them links, they went, oh, he's a piece of shit. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
No, when you texted me that he passed away.
We lost Joey.
So listen to this. You text me he passed away. I looked it up. Whatever. I turned around, told the guy behind me. I said, "Yo, do you know Hogan passed away?" He goes, "No shit." And then the girl next to him stood up and goes, "He's a piece of shit." So it's that's a live, and my reaction to it goes, yeah, you're right. I was like, some people are wrestling fans, so they may like be able to separate the two. I don't disagree with you. He was a dickhead. I was like, I'm kind of in the middle because I don't know a lot of the stuff that he did, but then I also don't know his wrestling. I just know like he has a legacy. So sometimes. I got you, but that's a live reaction of real people who I don't even think either one of them watch wrestling. That just seems to be the landscape of how people were reacting.
Sometimes two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
See, Brandon,
it's all your perspective of life.
Brandon put here, you don't have to know wrestling to know Hogan, which is true, but there's far less of them now than before.
Agreed.
In the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s, if you didn't watch wrestling, it was kind of still a hot topic. In 2025, there's not a lot of that going on. There's a lot of people who, at this point, to be honest with you, know more about his headline stuff than
ain't nobody breaking out a Thunder in Paradise reference. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, No Holds Barred is a cliche movie for a goddamn reason.
Yeah.
And by the way, these deaths, they happen in threes. You mentioned Ozzy, Hogan, and your boy Jedi here. I got to shout out some love here. A little Malcolm Jamal Warner love here. A little Theo Huxtable. Little Theo Huxtable love. I know he's famous for other stuff. I actually did like him in Malcolm in '82, but he will always be Theo Huxtable. That'll be him forever.
And not to steal his thunder, Chuck Mangione. If you ever watched King of the Hill, the trumpet player that dies in the Megalomart, R.I.P.
R.I.P. brother. Oh, 4. How about that? Yeah. So somebody better fucking call Jerry Jones from Dallas Cowboys. You're next, motherfucker.
Thank God I'm a nobody.
Famous people just dropping like flies.
God. Thank God nobody gives a shit about me.
I missed this comment from our earlier talk when we talked about Cena and Cody. That Saudi blood money is something else. Yes, it is.
Yeah, shit hit different.
It does. It is. It's nice.
Would you take it? Would you take that booking?
In a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah, the fuck?
I'm not thinking.
You mean finance? Like what's the word? What money for generations? I'm drawing a blank.
Generational wealth.
There we go. Generational wealth, baby. And what? A few hours? Absolutely.
Brandon chimes in here, and the people knocking others for their opinions on Hogan seems to think we don't know what he's done for the business. Yeah, I know, but
yeah.
But again, even the people who do know, they're kind of split down the middle. There's a lot of people who, yeah, I heard what he said, but he's kind of my hero for a while. And then there's the one who goes, yeah, I liked him when I was a kid, but
it's complicated for a lot of people because it's wrapped up in more. If you're going in psychology, it is wrapped up in a lot of childhood arrested development sort of things that you haven't worked through.
Yeah, I had a hard conversation with a friend because I told him that same thing that Dave said I was a hater for. Where I was just like, I don't see him the same.
Yeah,
it's done for me. And he looked at me. He was just like, but I mean, like, okay. Oh, what was the one that I think it was Devon? He goes, we've all made mistakes, right?
Sure.
Can we stop that? I think we had a conversation about there's levels to that shit.
It's only a mistake if you show contrition, take accountability, and then work towards some sort of solution to, you know what I mean? Like rectify the mistake. None of that happened with this man.
I'll go a step further because I have an example for you. I would like to throw into that mix that you just said, preemptive thought. I would like to throw in preemptive thought on that because I'll take you to an example that happened literally a few weeks ago, maybe months. It might be February or March. You remember Xia Li from NXT?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So she's in TNA now. Okay. She's in TNA now and she's doing great. And she's new to the company. So what happens is, as a former ring announcer, I understand how this works. You come into the company and you meet all these different people. You spend most of your time meeting the higher ups or whatever. That's why I always tell ring announcers, commentators, they're not going to come to you because they've spent all day with the shaking of the hand and the meetings and this is what we're going to do in the planning. And now they're just getting gear on. They're just trying to get through the day. You want your information, you got to go to them. So for whatever reason, I got the ring announcer's name. It was a female ring announcer. She went to Xia. She got the information and she wrote it verbatim, but it's a Chinese town. So sometimes the pronunciation could be weird. I think there was some X's in there or something that does different pronunciation in Chinese language. So the end result of this is during Xia's entrance live on television, she mispronounced the hometown in the middle of the entrance, and she said that this woman was from Qingchang, China. Straight face. She said that live on fucking television, right? Now,
don't you say that?
Now, here's where the contrition and the accountability comes in. About a day or two after when the shit really hit the fan, right? People really jumped all over this. The ring announcer went online and she said, I take full responsibility for the fuck up. What I think the mistake is that I wrote it down and then I didn't realize until right before showtime that I wasn't sure on the pronunciation. The mistake was I should have went back to her and got the translation. What she did was she Googled it, and that's where the ch sound came from. Because the way that Google did it, it gave her a ch sound as opposed to a s song. So instead of sing song China, she said ching chong China. Simple mispronunciation deal.
And I don't know, bro. If I would have heard that shit, I'd have been like,
to your point about preemptive thought, don't you think, hey, let me say this out loud first, and then it would trigger a bell of going like, maybe this is not the best.
Don't ever devalue how stupid a person can be. The reason why I said preemptive thought is because at no point in time when she wrote that information down did she say to herself, fuck this slanted-eyed fuck, I'm gonna go out there and say whatever the fuck I want to say. You know what I'm saying? There was no preemptive, irrational, ignorant shit that was going on in her head. This was a typo that she still went online and addressed to the world. It was a typo. I have apologized to the woman involved. I have apologized to the company. It won't happen again. I'm going to fix this. There was no racism there. If you're in a bubble and you're not paying attention to everything, you can sense. Like if
you see it as a snapshot
and you just saw that clip, you're like, wow. You know what I'm saying? You're taking it back. What he did was not that.
No.
That's not what he did. He was having a personal conversation that he was not aware that he was being recorded for and went full Terry. He was talking like Terry Bollea. He was talking like nobody else was in the room, which is how he would normally talk.
He tarried
That
up.
was him. That was him. It's Donald Sterling all over again.
Yeah.
It was just him being him. That's how he talked. Now, if you're going to try to explain to me that those words weren't within malice, you know, he meant nigga in a funny way, you know, like Jay-Z or something. No, my guy, that's not what happened there, okay? And that's why I think people, when they say, hey, let's separate it, when you look at this man, you see the Fu Manchu, you see the bald spot, you see the bandana. He has spent a lifetime not separating the fucking two. So now that some negative shit has happened that has changed his legacy forever, you take away that audio, this goes down as the single greatest wrestling career of all time. That audio ruins that. And the people that love him don't want to hear that. But unfortunately, for some people, it's true. It's not the same anymore. I was watching 1990 and 91 SummerSlam. Like I told you, I watched my SummerSlam. I'm watching Hogan matches. It's not affecting me in that way. I watch the show. I enjoy what's going on. But him as an individual, when I see it, I got, you know, you look back at some of those matches. You look back at some of those Hogan matches. I'm like, he's not in there with Coco Beware. He's not doing a whole lot with Kamala, and he's not like, oh, I'm starting to put some shit together, and I just like, okay, all right. It wasn't too many.
He put the blocks on early.
Yeah, he wasn't too many darkies in the NWO for sure. There wasn't a whole lot of. I mean, Stevie Ray got a little time. He got a little time.
Vincent, they threw Vincent in there.
Oh, but remember, Vincent was a good old boy though.
Yeah.
Remember, that was the reputation in WWE before NWO.
Any of that, yeah.
So a lot of the African American stars in WWE, the reason why a lot of those individuals don't get the love that a lot of other African American wrestlers get is because of the reputation that they have of being good old boys in that locker room. It wasn't just, you know, Coco Beware, I threw that name out, but he was considered one of those guys as well. There were a lot of guys that were in WCW or in the NWA who didn't go specifically because they weren't going to be good. But that was the controversy of Ron Simmons.
Yeah.
When Ron Simmons was in WCW. He was not a good old boy. But he had Cowboy Bill Watts as a booker who didn't want good old boys. He wanted all-American football athlete. That's what he wanted. And he pushed Ron to the moon and gave Ron credibility. So he had a bulletproof vest when he went to WWE. He wasn't worried about the old country boys over at WWE because he had felt it. You know what I'm saying? He had already been through all that. That was
the bulletproof hat, the blue bulletproof leather hat.
Farouk Assad, baby. But that was the same guy who told Godfather. I don't know if you saw the interview. Godfather was like, "Yo, Ron saved my life because I was about to sign with WCW." And Ron was like, "Yo, if you go down there,
don't do it. Yeah,
you're gonna kill a bunch of white folks because they gonna talk to you the way that you know that you ain't supposed to be spoken to, and that's gonna be it for you." And
it's
that's
like signing New Jack.
Why do you think Booker T's reputation right now is half and half? Because Booker T, now a lot of stuff's coming out about Booker T also being kind of a good old boy. Swerve Strickland with the death nail about the nigga comment. When Vince McMahon dropped that nigga on TV, he said straight up, he dropped it on you because he knew that he wasn't going to
wouldn't be able,
he wasn't going to say about it. You were the only black man in that room when he said that. He didn't say it for the Shelterman. He didn't say it for the Bobby Lashley. He didn't say it for the
stretched him.
You kidding me? And don't let us get twisted just because he's Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon got stretched a few times. So that's not even an issue. Ask Bret Hart about that one. I still see that Hakaloo in my dreams.
The lifter wobbling out.
Bret Hart
wobbling out of the dressing room.
WCW, bitch.
That was one hell of a spit.
Oh man, and he just had like a 30-minute match. You know, he was dry mouth as a motherfucker. That spit was starchy. It was starchy.
He pulled that from here. Pasta water.
It was the flavors.
Fuck.
Because I said pasta water?
Yeah, because he's thinking about big, meaty, frothy spit coming out of nowhere.
Spit on that thing.
Hell yeah, he did spit on that thing. And then he left
shit.
and got bukakied for the rest of his career. Yeah. Well,
what a way to end.
Well, that's a wrap, boys.
Yeah. If I want generational wealth, I'll fuck Shannon Sharp. Fuck.
You too old, Jedi. You too
Fair.
old, Jedi.
Fair. Yeah, your ass ain't fat like that, bro. You gotta get your IG game up. It's less complicated for me because he died 10 years ago. Oh, look at that. Brandon with the straight facts.
I can give you all the things that you wanted before.